So, good afternoon, everyone. I think we have grown by one or two persons. Maybe somebody else has left because they were not available this morning. So Yannick has joined us. And also Anne-Marie, I think, has joined us. Megan? Yes. Okay. So we're having the afternoon for further practice. The first part dedicating a little bit on exploration, continuing the journey which we started the morning on the elements, which Ayya Santacitta has introduced. And I would like to spend a little bit more on those, but from a slightly different angle, and then moving on to what opening might mean. And then at the end, we will have another part for sharing, comments, questions. We will finish around 4. And of course, all the locals are very warmly invited to stay for tea and having an informal chat. So perhaps just briefly before I jump into coming back to the theme of turning towards the theme of the day and what it means turning towards the challenges we are facing collectively as a global society, but also individually. So also this afternoon, I may touch a little bit more about how are we actually turning towards within ourselves and a more kind of like the micro level, and how that may also manifest in the macro level with these challenges we are facing now or every day or in this human existence. And one of the things is like this turning towards, that movement which is towards instead of turning away or turning against. And so when we turn towards, and in a way also working with the elements, with awareness, with presence, with being here, not running away or just coming back here, there's also some kind of process of, well, how do we hold that? You know, if we don't run away, if we don't turn against or escape, there's kind of some level of what gives us the strength to actually stand the ground, calibrate, like there's a kind of a collision, for example, like some difficulty is hitting us, and how do we strengthen ourselves to stay grounded and to actually calibrate so that we are not being shaken to the left or to the right or out of the position. So we are experimenting a little bit with that, and also with the elements. And to start off with, I see already some closed eyes. I will now invite everyone to actually come up to standing in their own time. We're doing a bit of practice in standing and movement. So I would like to suggest that each of us looks to find a little bit of a place where you have space. And for the participants on Zoom, I will give you an angle so you can see me. So just make sure that you have a bit of space around you. So just finding, first of all, kind of a ground and a good posture to start with is that we are like really settling our feet parallel on the ground. So even the way we stand when we are standing in the shopping mall or somewhere waiting, you know, sometimes we stand only on one leg or on the other leg, and that doesn't really give us the stability. So very simple, basic standing parallel, feet well on the ground. And you may even bend slightly your knees. So just see whether you can find a little bit of an ease in the knees so they're not completely straight. And it's helpful to just close your eyes, or if you like, you can slightly keep them downcast. The gaze is soft. And just kind of finding your balance on the feet. That's always a good start, literally as well as metaphorically. So what is your standing like? So here is the feet on the ground, and perhaps you may shift a little bit to the left, to the right. Calibrating, perhaps to the front, to the back, and really calibrating where is the middle. Where is the point where you can come to stillness, into balance? When you found that point, just see whether then you can rest your body weight on that point in the feet, resting on the ground. So then from the feet, you can bring your awareness to the knees, which are slightly bent. And then up to the hips. And then again, see whether the hips can be resting on the knees and the knees resting on the feet. So there is kind of a sharing of weight, so to speak. So the weight is being shared from the feet over the knees and the pelvis, the hips, which is quite heavy. And as we're doing that, we can invite the perception of earth. Not only the earth we're actually touching, but also the earth in terms of the weight, the bones, the heaviness of these body parts. And then moving up from the pelvis, you can bring your awareness to the torso, allowing the lower back to relax. So see whether you can make sure you're not making like a, what is it called? You're not kind of bending forward in the lower back, but really rather having the sensation of you've got a tail and you're tucking the tail under. So your bottom is pointing to the ground. That gives you stability in standing. So from there, the pelvis over the lower back, the upper back, front, belly and chest, all the way up. And again, see whether you can, allowing this body weight, this solidity, this heaviness to sink into the ground, letting go. And then coming to the shoulders. And then again, over our shoulders, the elbows and the hands. And just see whether you can allow your arms to float freely from the torso. So there's a little bit of space between the arms and the torso, like the wings of a bird. And again, see what you can notice in terms of gravity from the shoulders, over the elbows, over the hands, down to the ground. Earth element, weight, gravity. Letting that go into the ground. And then bring your awareness to the throat and the neck area. Perhaps you may need to adjust a little bit so that the head can rest completely relaxed on top of the spine. See whether you find that tipping point. Perhaps you need to tilt your head, move your head slightly forward, backward, sidewards. See where is this point where the head can rest effortlessly on top of the spine. And you found that just, again, becoming aware of the heavy weight of the head resting on the spine. With that, perhaps you can also bring your awareness into your skull, hardness, again, earth element. And then see whether there is any tension in your jaws. which you can relax perhaps by opening slightly the mouth, the lips, allowing the tongue in the mouth to rest comfortably. So you don't need to hold anything again, allowing this weight of solidity, the weight of earth to drop. Whatever you can drop right now in your face, let it drop. And then this posture of exploration is not static, so there is a possibility of adjusting, again readjusting, because nothing is standing still. There is constant change happening internally as well as externally, and the body itself is regulating itself, it's adjusting itself. So allow that movement to happen. And perhaps one more time the other way around, we can start again from the head, becoming aware of the solidity of the skull, the weight of the head, resting on top of the spine. And allowing this weight to drop downwards, becoming aware of the weight of the shoulders, letting go the weight over the elbows and the hands, the fingers pointing towards the floor. All pointing towards earth, weight dropping down by the force of gravity. You don't have to do anything, it's doing it by itself. And from the neck and the throat, first allowing your awareness to pass over the chest, and again, like whatever solidity you experience there, whatever weight, is it possible to let go of the weight down into the lower belly, and into the pelvis. Sensing the stability from underneath, and in the same way from the neck, the upper back, the middle back, and down to the lower back. Perhaps you may sense even the spine, as the spine is being supported by the pelvis, by the hip. Taking support and grounding from the pelvis. Whole torso with the head resting on the pelvis. See where you can let go of weight, letting go of solidity, and at the same time sensing stability. The pelvis, allowing your awareness from the pelvis to move down to the knees. Really sensing again that support from the knees upon the pelvis is resting. And down to the feet. Feet resting on the ground. Sensing the earth, the contact with the floor. And the whole body being supported by the earth underneath. So this is a posture, standing posture. We can actually do standing meditation anywhere, anytime, whether it's formally or informally, whether we are waiting in a queue, getting annoyed, sitting at the doctor's, or standing up. Again, this is a moment where we can come back to the body, come back to getting in touch with earth element, with gravitas, solidity, and at the same time, an invitation to let go of any weight, taking support in the earth, from the ground, and grounding ourselves. Something we always can come back to in time. So from here, you may still keep your eyes closed. You can gently start to allow your arms, your torso, to gently move a little bit from side to side. Just calibrating, allowing the body to move by itself. Your body knows what and how much movement it wants at this moment, just to allow yourself to be comfortable. Just gentle rotation from side to side, and you may sense the arms are kind of floating freely like the wings of a bird. And as we're doing that, we're actually connecting with the element of air, motion and movement. It's kind of just there. In any moment we are actually moving, there's an opportunity to connect with air element. You can allow this movement to become a little bit wider, allowing your arms to float freely. Sensing air, and then you may also connect with the element of fire, temperature. As your arms are moving through the space, you may experience changing sensations of cold, of warmth. That movement of air changing temperature, influencing the other. And then allow this movement to find its diminishing, fading away, coming back to the center. Just grounding oneself again and feeling the earth. Just sensing now what's the temperature. Where is it warm? Where is it cold? What's the temperature on your feet right now? That's fire element. And you may even notice again, it's kind of small little movements in your body, or like something might be shifting again. Air is continuously doing its job, air element. Breath coming in and out. Sensing the whole body and the breath, breathing. Then invite us all to take our arms to both sides with an inhale. And exhaling, allowing the arms to rest to both sides. Again, as we're standing here, sensing the weight and the solidity of the arms, gravitas pulling towards the earth. And from here, taking the arms in front of us, like holding a big ball, or hugging a tree might be more common. And just exploring that for a moment as you're kind of having your shoulders relaxed, your elbows are relaxed, your hands, and you are hugging a big tree. And sensing the space, that space which you are creating between your torso and your arms. This kind of space, the imaginary tree which you are hugging. And if you need, you can bend your knees. The more you bend your knees, the more comfortable you will stand. And again, sensing here the contact with the floor, the ground, the earth, solidity, subtle movements in the body, element air. Temperature perhaps rising through the little movements we made. Perhaps you're more warm now. Perhaps you feel the air cooling around your hand. And if you are more subtle, perhaps you may sense fluidity. That water which connects all the tissues and everything holding together in this body. Or perhaps you may even sense some circulation in the blood of your body. Perhaps the moisture in your mouth. And the space right now, which is being determined here with your arms, that space in front of you. And you may also sense the subtle changes, the shifting in the body as it's standing here. And allowing these subtle movements, these changes to occur, just doing their thing, body doing its thing without interference. Some of them may be pleasant, some of them may be unpleasant sensations. Some moments we may adjust, and some moments we just bear witness and turn towards these more unpleasant sensations. Calibrating, balancing, receiving. You may again notice a change of temperature in your body, parts of the body, air, fire element. And from here, we gently again open our arms to both sides, like the wings of a bird wide open. sense the space. Perhaps you still have the eyes closed, really sensing the space to both sides, to your right, to your left, in front, and in the back. Really sensing into the space. And allowing your awareness to become spacious as the space around you. Becoming aware of the room we're standing in. Becoming aware of others standing in the room, occupying space. Objects occupying space. And from here, bringing the arms all the way up. Reaching out high, just allowing the body to stretch in your own way, whatever feels needed right now. And then in your own way, you can swing forward, but carefully. If you have back problems, then you may only just do it gently. But if you're fine with your back, you just can swing forward and allow. Exhaling as you come down. Allow the breath to come out. Motion, air. And allowing the arms to swing out. So, just one more moment before we're sitting down. One more time. How are you standing right now? With eyes closed or eyes open? Just sensing again. Contact with the floor. See whether you can bring your whole body weight evenly into the feet and allowing the body to rest on the feet as the feet are resting on the ground. Okay, so gently in your own way, I invite you coming back to sitting. So we'll straight continue to practice into a kind of a contemplation meditation. So as we're sitting down here now, again, change is happening, and just notice what has changed from the standing posture to the sitting posture. Again, how is it now? Body sitting. Are we still in touch with the elements, or can we make connection with the elements? So here, some of us are cross-legged sitting, some of us may sit on a chair again. Contact with the floor, contact with the earth, and contact with the body weight, solidity, hardness, earth element. And in the same way as we were standing, taking support from the ground to allow the body to be supported all the way up to the head. In the same way as we're sitting, we can take support from the ground, the earth, and allowing the body weight to rest upon, and the spine to take support, being upright, but without effort, being relaxed. Sensing the breathing air element. Again, what may have changed in temperature? Is it hot? Is it cold? Or is it warm? And where do you feel the element of water, liquidity? fluidity, circulation of the blood, moisture in the mouth, cohesion, that which binds, holding this whole body together through flesh. So just allowing whatever your awareness notice, whatever element, whatever part of the body, just to be in touch with these four elements and their play, their change in nature. Simple. Whenever our mind wanders away or gets lost, we can always come back to one or the other element. Perhaps the earth element is always a good start because it's very obvious, kind of the weight, the solidity, the hardness, the sitting bones touching the ground, the sitting bones touching the chair. Coming back to this contact and earth element. Or coming back to the breathing, to the air element. Or any other motion which you notice in your body. So as you're exploring or receiving the different elements in your body, the interplay, changing elements from moment to moment, just offering the words of the Buddha to his own son, Rahula, which he gave him as advice on how to meditate and with the elements. So this is from the Maha Rahula Ovada, Majjhima Nikaya 62. And here we can just receiving these words from the Buddha and see how we can look at the elements in a different way and how we can even be the element itself. So a slight shift of perception, just see how that works with you in this contemplation. And particularly using these elements as a way of calibrating with the difficulties with life and all the things we encounter. Rahula, meditate like the earth. For when you meditate like the earth, pleasant and unpleasant contexts will not occupy your mind. Suppose there were to toss both clean and unclean things on the earth, like feces, urine, spit, pus, and blood. The earth isn't horrified, repelled, or disgusted because of this. In the same way, meditate like the earth. For when you meditate like the earth, pleasant and unpleasant contexts will not occupy your mind. Meditate like water. For when you meditate like water, pleasant and unpleasant contexts will not occupy your mind. Suppose there were to wash both clean and unclean things in the water, like feces, urine, spot, pus, and blood. The water isn't horrified or repelled or disgusted because of this. In the same way, meditate like water. For when you meditate like water, pleasant and unpleasant contexts will not occupy your mind. Meditate like fire. For when you meditate like fire, pleasant and unpleasant contexts will not occupy your mind. Suppose a fire were to burn both clean and unclean things, like feces, urine, spit, pus, and blood. The fire isn't horrified, repelled, or disgusted because of this. In the same way, meditate like fire. For when you meditate like fire, pleasant and unpleasant contexts will not occupy your mind. Meditate like wind. For when you meditate like wind, pleasant and unpleasant contexts will not occupy your mind. Suppose the wind were to blow on both clean and unclean things like feces, urine, spit, pus, and blood. The wind isn't horrified, repelled, and disgusted because of this. In the same way, meditate like wind. For when you meditate like wind, pleasant and unpleasant contexts will not occupy your mind. Meditate like space. For when you meditate like space, pleasant and unpleasant contexts will not occupy your mind. Just as space is not established anywhere. In the same way, meditate like space. For when you meditate like space, pleasant and unpleasant contacts will not occupy your mind. What would it be like to meditate like the earth or be the earth? Or like water, meditating like fire, or be the wind? Receiving anything and everything equally without judgment. And how would it be to meditate like space? Space which is not established anywhere. Being the space, being in the space, sensing the space around us. From here, you can allow your awareness to widen out from sensing not only the internal elements, but also going beyond the shell of the skin and allowing your awareness to widen out into the space, into the front, the back, both sides. Sensing the space around you. This room. Yourself occupying space. Or perhaps you may even have an image of dissolving into space, being space itself. So from here, I'd like to invite you very gently in your own time, just a little bit to open the eyes. Just allowing that visual field, the space to enter your awareness and just widening your awareness into this visual field as you're opening the eyes. And see whether you can still be connected to either the space element, spaciousness, or one of the other elements, or perhaps just the grounding of your body sitting. As you're seeing and at the same time being aware that you're seeing. Perhaps you notice the space in front of you, the visual field to both sides, and you can allow your gaze to soften to see as much as you can, or actually receiving visual forms in your visual field. Keeping your gaze wide and open, spacious. Perhaps you want to close one more time your eyes and see the difference. Are you narrowing, or can you still keep that spaciousness, notion of space around you? So in a moment I will ring the bell, and I'd like to invite us to explore in a little bit of a walking break or walking period and space. Or if any of the other elements speaks to you, you can also explore what it would be like meditating like earth, wind, fire, or air. But if you feel resonant with space, I'd like to invite you to even take a moment and go out and just exploring that element of space as you're going out in this movement of opening into space. So you may walk out, or you may just stand, or you may just stand in front of a big window and looking out into the space. And I will ring the bell in about 15-20 minutes. So we will all come back here. Okay, so for the Zoom people, we will start again, let's say about 10 past 2, 10 past the hour. So just arriving again together on our seat. And turning towards this moment, this experience, this body as it is right now. And in this last part of practice, we'd like to explore how we can turn towards difficulties with a positive response, with a response which is opening and receiving, a response which can resource ourselves, which can support us and nourish us and also others. A response which is not turning away and not turning against, as we often tend to shut down or react with fear and aversion when the difficulty hits us, whether it's kind of the world or by people we are meeting, or even within ourselves when we are faced with difficult emotions. We tend to avoid or distract ourselves, being too busy to look into it, or just being overwhelmed with it. So this is the place when we tend to separate ourselves from the world, from others, and from ourselves. And emotions like ill will and fear arising, discontent, resentment, negativity, irritation, we want to get rid of. So how can we turn towards these emotions, reactions, and these difficulties in the external? And here the Buddha advises again, Rahula, following the elements, he continues to advise him and teach him, meditate on love. For when you meditate on love, any ill will be given up. Meditate on compassion. For when you meditate on compassion, any cruelty will be given up. Meditate on rejoicing, on joy. For when you meditate on rejoicing, any discontent will be given up. Meditate on equanimity. For when you meditate on equanimity, any repulsion or aversion will be given up. So these are the 4 Brahma-vihara, sublime abidings, or immeasurable qualities which we are asked to cultivate, which he asks Rahula to cultivate as an extension of calibrating, receiving without judgment through the 5 elements, now cultivating a positive response, an opening response, which actually is overcoming the separation by the boundless, limitless quality of these heart qualities of metta, karuna, mudita, and upekkha in Pali. So these are qualities we can connect with. Some way we can understand them as already inherent within us, and we're just connecting with that. Or we can understand them as planting small little seeds, which we are watering to make them flourishing and grow. And qualities we can cultivate in the meditation formally, but also in our daily lives. Whenever we encounter any difficult situation, can we ground ourselves, calibrate, open up into the space and fill that space with loving kindness, compassion, joy, or equanimity. Whatever the response may be needed at the time in the situation. Or we can simply rest in one of these qualities, like a dwelling place, a place where we can nourish ourselves, just resting, or else radiating in all directions. Opening up and connecting. So just bringing your awareness again into this body as it's sitting, and the mind resting on the body. And perhaps you can incline your mind to a receptive attention, an awareness which is open and receptive, receiving without judgment. Whatever bodily sensations, elements, whatever you're experiencing right now. And then to kindle the little fire of metta, of loving kindness, this quality of the heart, which is receiving every being, any situation, any phenomena with a unjudgmental, accepting, loving kindness and goodwill, this metta. We can bring this up and connect with this quality perhaps by an image, like a little being, a little kitten or puppy or a baby, or a squirrel. So whatever image of a small little being may come up for you, just to kindle your connection with this little being and this sense of care and friendliness, friendship. Perhaps also seeing the vulnerability of this little being. Or else you may bring up a metta phrase, like, may you be well, may you be happy. Or perhaps just the word metta itself, just the idea of friendliness, benevolence, may in itself bring up this quality of warmth, of gentleness, openness, care. Whatever works for you to connect with metta and to kindle this light of metta within you. And perhaps you can spread this quality of metta out either throughout your body or throughout your mind, and just allowing your body mind to be pervaded, allowing this warmth to spread all across your body mind. Opening up. And repeating the phrase or bringing the image again to your mind. Or perhaps you may just sense a loving presence within you. May this mind be filled with metta, loving kindness. And then from here you can imagine perhaps this image of a candle or a lamp at the center of yourself. And this light is just shining in all directions. At the moment covered by a curtain, by a separation, you're gently pulling the curtain from the front all the way around. So allow this light to shine out. Starting in the front and gently drawing the curtain towards your right. Without doing anything, this light of metta just floating and streaming out from the front to the right. into the space without limitations. And from the right, pulling the curtain even further gently to the back. And the light spreading out all the way from the front to the back to your right side. Without obstacles, without bounds, flowing freely, shining. And then from the back, pulling the curtain even further from the back to your left, allowing this area to be free and the light of metta to radiate all the way out. And then from the right to the front, pulling the curtain all the way down. And above, removing any obstacle, any limitation, allowing the light to spread out above of us. And in the same way below, removing the barriers, removing the separation, and metta radiating freely. Immeasurable, boundless, abundant. Into the space in all directions. And perhaps you can find yourself just sitting in metta, dwelling in metta, resting in metta as it's flowing from this lamp, this light in the center, in all directions, above, below, around and everywhere. Resting in metta. Like a sun in the sky shining in all directions, not making any difference where it will shine or land its sunbeams onto. And there's this metta shines in all directions like a sun in the sky. It may meet the suffering of a being or beings, or the suffering of the world. When it meets the suffering of the world, it may turn into compassion. this turning towards and calibrating based on metta, meeting the suffering, responding by being present. So this may be an image for you, perhaps the color of a sun which is going down. Darkness is near, but the sun is still up. Perhaps it may be the leaves in the autumn falling. Perhaps it may be a sentence for you. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And in the same way, allowing this light, this central light floating in all directions, pervading with the tone of compassion. Meeting suffering with love. And again, here we can dwell and rest in compassion, being fully present. And allowing the space to keep wide open, the light of compassion to shine in all directions. Including all beings. And ourselves. Shifting on, allowing the quality of appreciation, joy, sympathetic joy, rejoicing to arise when metta meets the good fortune of another, of beings who are well. It turns into joy, gladness. Again, perhaps this image of a morning sun shining bright and birds singing might help you to connect with this quality of sympathetic joy. Perhaps the image of spring, everything blossoming. Or perhaps you may connect through the sentence of, may your good fortune continue. May you bear the fruits of your good actions. Rejoicing in the fortune and good circumstances of another or other beings. And again, inviting this quality into this open, spacious, radiating mind in all directions, allowing this light to shine and being colored by the quality of rejoice. And then at last we are connecting with the quality of equanimity, keeping the awareness and space wide open and inviting this quality of evenness of mind, balance of mind into the space. Metta turning into equanimity when it sees the truth, how things are, truth of impermanence, the truth of things which cannot be changed, discerning what can be changed from what cannot be changed, and finding peace in that. This quality which is stable and unshakable, quiet and yet strong, knowing that we are all the heroes of our karma. And again, in the same way, inviting this quality to pervade from the inner center into all directions. Perhaps the image of the moon, the coolness of the moon, shining bright and yet being quiet, may inspire you to bring up and pervade with this quality. Or perhaps the image of a winter landscape full of snow, snow covering equally, without discrimination, all of the countryside. Quiet, light, even. Or perhaps it's a sentence for you, like, where we all take responsibility for our actions. Change what we can change and discern from what cannot be changed. Resting, dwelling in equanimity and radiating in all directions. Wishing all beings to find and see the truth, find the path. Having the stability, the trust, the confidence and the courage to face all difficulty, to overcome all difficulty with an even, stable mind. Rooted in the power of metta, power of compassion, power of joy. Making that your home, your dwelling place, your nourishment, and opening up to the world.